In the kingdom of Elowen, light came not from the sun, but from the lanterns, great, floating spheres of flame that hung in the sky, lighting the cities below like stars frozen in mid-fall. Every lantern had a keeper, someone trained from childhood to tend to its magic, to ensure its light never flickered. For if even one lantern went dark, legend said the darkness beneath the earth would rise again. Kael was the youngest keeper in the Order's history. Orphaned during the Ember Plague, he had been raised within the walls of the Tower of Flame. His lantern was the farthest from the capital, hanging above the remote village of Lorne's Hollow. It was a quiet assignment, almost a punishment for someone so young. But Kael never complained. Until the night his lantern flickered. Just once. A tremble in the flame above, a pulse like a heartbeat skipping. He stared up from the village hill, torch in hand. The glow was steadier now, but his own heart wouldn't settle. The next morning, he climbed the 1,000 steps to the tower anchoring the lantern's chain. He checked the bindings, the runes etched into stone, the ancient fuel vats that burned with eternal fire. Everything was intact. But the lantern felt different. Not dimmer. Hungrier. That night, the villagers whispered of shadows moving where no shadows should. Of animals going silent in the woods. Of a coldness in their bones that blankets could not cure. And then came the knock. Kael opened the tower door to a cloaked figure, face hidden beneath a hood lined with raven feathers. "I felt it," the stranger said. Their voice was neither male nor female, but something between, soft as smoke. The flicker. "Who are you?" "I'm the Watcher of Forgotten Flames." "And your lantern is dying." Kael narrowed his eyes. "Lanterns don't die." The Watcher stepped inside without waiting for an invitation. "No. Not unless something is feeding on them." They opened a small leather pouch and poured black ash onto the tower floor. It hissed when it hit the stone, curling like smoke from a dying fire. Kael backed away. "That's void ash." "Yes," said the Watcher. "And your lantern has been touched by it." He should have reported them immediately. Called the Order. But Kael couldn't ignore what he'd seen in the lantern's flicker. The pulse. The way it felt more alive than ever before. "What do we do?" The Watcher looked up at the great chain connecting the lantern to the sky. "We climb." The chain was never meant to be climbed. But the Watcher moved with unnatural ease, feet light on steel, cloak rippling behind them like smoke in reverse. Kael followed, hands blistering, lungs burning. The air grew thin. The world fell away below, shrinking to a patchwork of silver and black. And then they reached it. The base of the lantern was a vast platform of ancient obsidian, glowing with heatless flame. Runes pulsed beneath their feet like veins. But something was wrong. A crack. Running down the center of the lantern, like a spiderweb of rot. Kael dropped to one knee, pressing his palm to the stone. It was breathing. Before he could move, a tendril of black flame burst from the crack, wrapping around his arm. It didn't burn. It remembered. He saw images in the fire, of an older world, of a battle long forgotten, of creatures that once ruled the night. Of a lantern keeper betraying the flame. Kael screamed. The Watcher severed the tendril with a blade of white fire, dragging him back. "It's not a lantern anymore," they whispered. "It's a door." In the hidden vault beneath the lantern, they found the truth. A book bound in flame-eaten leather. A journal. The final words of the lantern's first keeper. The lanterns are not stars. They are seals. We lied to protect them. But the darkness never died, it was imprisoned. And now, the prison is breaking. Kael looked to the watcher. Then what are you? I was meant to destroy the lanterns if they ever woke. But I waited too long. Kael stood, weak but resolute. Then we have to relight it. Not just with fire, with purpose. With truth. He stepped to the center of the vault, blood dripping from his burned arm. And he began to speak. Not in words, but in flame tongue, the old language of the fire, taught to all keepers, though few believed it real. The lantern above trembled. The crack hissed. The darkness screamed. But Kael did not stop. And the lantern answered. A burst of gold. A scream of light. And then, silence. Kael opened his eyes. The watcher knelt beside him, shielding their eyes from the glow. Above them, the lantern shone brighter than ever, the cracks sealed, the runes burning with renewed life. You did it, the watcher breathed. No, Kael whispered. We remembered. For the first time in centuries, the lantern wasn't just a seal. It was a beacon. A warning to the dark, and a promise to the living. Kael was no longer just a keeper. He was flame-born. And the war beneath the world was no longer sleeping.